No, taming will not be ranger specific. Taming will be the means by which you can turn different NPC animals into mounts. Druid! Druid is coming along well. It's coming along well. Will Sow be usable by Ranger and Shaman? Ranger, yes. Shaman have Windstrider, and Windstrider in and of itself is a very unique buff that synergizes really well with Spirit of Wolf. Yeah, the Druid, so Spirit of the Wolf will stack with Windstrider. Wolf form will eventually, part of just like some of the finishing work I need to do on the Druid, but it will overwrite Spirit of Wolf. So, but Wolf form will also scale in speed like Spirit of Wolf does. Wolf form will also be, like I shouldn't have been able to do that on Herode. It should be a self-only thing. There's a chance that we'll do like a higher level pack wolf type thing for the Druid, but for this baseline wolf form, it should be self-only, and it will overwrite Spirit of Wolf, but it will be faster than Spirit of Wolf. The question of why we're working on a new class as opposed to working on the other classes. I see them both as mattering, and to me, having as many of the full class roster as we can available for people to play, that's just where I feel like we need to be. The goal is to get as many different players represented in the game as possible. There's a lot of people that are wanting to play the Druid. The same with the Bard. The only exception with the Bard is that there's a lot more that goes into the Bard than went into the Druid or any of the other classes, specifically because of the way that it relates to the audio components and some of the new mechanics. Having that level, those level 40 spells abilities that are like really good, that is absolutely a carrot that's missing from most of the classes right now. So it's not lost on me that matters. Yeah, as far as like new races and stuff, again, I'm not going to comment on like a time frame, but I will say that before we start getting any of the other races in, we are going to finish what we're doing right now, which is going through and updating the hairstyles, the facial hair, getting potentially some additional faces and skin colors in for the current races. So the WILDBLOODS that went in, they went in very much first pass. If you do that content, just make sure you're aware that it is still technically first pass. Chido, the plan is definitely continue to improve that. As far as how I've gone over that a few times, how we plan to do that. It's kind of some incremental introductions of different penalties and bonuses that you have towards the target as they get lower level than you. There's a lot of different systems that it all kind of connects to. The first thing that we really need to get in, which will kind of drive all of it, is the changes to the consideration system and having a mob's, an NPC's consideration level or its color compared to you transition that over to being a percentage of like your level, basically. So the higher level you get, the larger that color spectrum grows. So something that's dark blue to you for only 2 levels right now, as you get higher level, might be dark blue to you for 4, 5, 6 levels, depending on what level you are. That's really going to determine a lot, because then the bonuses and the penalties will be attached to those con colors, those con ranges, and then you have like the actual bonuses and penalties themselves and how those will work. And so it's all kind of interconnected. And yeah, I'm hoping now that we're putting the majority of like the Unity 6 upgrade stuff in the rear view mirror, that will have some more bandwidth to action those. That is my hope. My sincere hope is that we will see the consideration stuff coming in soonish, and that when you see that change, that should be a signal for you to know that we are close at that point to getting back and serious about fleshing out the rest of the class kits up to 40. The consideration change is just to, instead of it being a static consideration range, where like dark blues are always 2 levels below you, and then light blue is always 3 to 4 or whatever, from level 1 all the way up to level, well, I guess level 1 it doesn't apply, but you know, all the way through the level ranges, that with the change, as you get higher level, that range will expand. Very, very similar to EQ's approach. We're making a few little tweaks to it, but it will feel very similar to that. And then the ongoing adjustments to lower level NPCs in terms of their penalties and your bonuses towards them in combat, the rest of those changes that are meant to like finally really dial it in, will come with that consideration change as well, because we will be attaching those penalties and bonuses to the con range, meaning you know, anything that's dark blue, whether it's 1 level below you or 5 levels below you, as long as it's dark blue, these will be the penalties and the bonuses associated with it. And same with light blue, green, and gray. So yeah. Will cons be indifferent eventually for those who are invisible or stealthed? I would like for it to read that way. That's what feels most natural to me. So yeah. There's even more things that we intend to include in that consideration messaging for certain players with certain types of skills, we'll say. Every time I log into Wild's End, the zone is almost always empty or near empty as players rush to take their characters to Throne Fast. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think you can do to incentivize them to stay in Wild's End? Having a really cool dungeon in Wild's End would help a lot. Help a lot. And I think, and we will have one. I mean, all of the 3 starting areas, you've got, you know, Goblin Caves and Halnir Cave and Throne Fast. You've got Mangle Rock in Fairthale, and then you've got the extension of the giant ruins, the Galdassi ruins down underneath that will be that for Wild's End. Will anyone not in your party or guild be considered an offensive target? Coben, yes. Yeah. There is no friendly fire though, so you won't be able to attack. Like if I... Here, I'll just show you. So, Mark, I want you to start casting like a longer cast offensive spell, and then I'm going to invite you to group and accept group before it lands, okay? So see, it doesn't actually go through. So as long as you're in the group with somebody, or gilded with someone, then you won't be able to attack them, and there won't be any friendly fire or anything like that. And also, we did get the... So go ahead, Fuso, like hit me with a nuke, and then don't do anything. So if he nukes me, puts me in combat, but then if we don't engage past that, after 10 seconds, combat will drop. And the goal there is to make sure that, you know, I can't just come up to somebody, hit them, and then run off and leave them in combat forever. So I like the amount of stat gear entering the game. I feel like upgrades are so easy to come by that it doesn't feel great to get a statted item. In Pantheon, the stats are designed to be much more weighty. Like when you get plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of a different stat, that you're gonna feel that. You're really gonna feel that. I think there's maybe still some fuzziness in terms of what the uncommon items are meant to be and what they're meant to do, how the function they're meant to serve. If the only mechanism to getting any stats for your character is through rare drops, or with the kind of scarcity that like EQ had, then you're going to be leveling up, but your character's not going to be, that baseline of your power isn't going to be progressing up with it. And so the idea was to create a category of itemization that still required you to go out into the world or have the money to buy it, or at least interact with other characters, you know, if it's a hand-me-down or something like that, where there was gear that you could find and equip that can kind of help your baseline continue to go up as you level up. But it's not, and is not meant to take the place of a true power upgrade that will come from a truly rare item from like a named NPC. Sprint is going to change to be more bursty, a little bit faster, but not something you can sustain as long. So it should be something more that you use intermittently and not all the time. We used to have auto stacking, but there was a pretty nasty bug with it that was causing item loss. And so we disabled it to avoid that problem. We will absolutely, definitely be having a guild vault. Still TBD on the personal shared bank slot. The spirit of what we're trying to capture here with a classic MMORPG is one where it is more of a camp-driven style, and you're not needing, you know, to run the entirety of a dungeon every time you want to get a shot at loot, but you're needing to make your way through a dungeon and then kind of carve out a place for yourself. Is there any intention for raid content of any kind during EA? Yes, but fair warning. Expect some jankiness, and what I mean by that is, like with the Ash Breathers, for example, there will be a raid target in there, just like Aganoct. Aganoct is a raid target technically, but we don't have raid frames yet. We don't have some of the other QOL and systems related to raids right now, so it is going to be just kind of like, hey, we need to get 4 or 5 groups together and take this thing down. But the point I'm making, I guess, is that there will be targets that are that difficult that will require that amount of coordination, that amount of players working together to take it down, and loot that is appropriate to that kind of accomplishment. The White Wyvern, no. The White Wyvern is not considered a raid target. Our raids will be instanced, the majority of them. The room itself, the boss room, however that's designed to be, there will be an entry point into that area that is instanced. We will have raid zones that those boss rooms, those raid boss rooms are within, that are not instanced, that are just like our current dungeons. And there will likely be some, you know, contending going on in those raid zones to either for keying or to, you know, gain access to those boss rooms where the raid targets are. But those actual boss rooms with the raid targets in them will be instanced. There will be a few exceptions, like we do plan to have open world contested non-instanced raid targets. You know, just with some long respawn times that will exist to be taken down, however, in whatever means